Hello. Today we're going to take a look at outliers and how they affect the measures of central tendency that we calculated in the last video. Now, a measure of central tendency, like mean, median, or mode, tries to describe a set of data. An outlier is a score that is part of that set but doesn't appear to fit with the rest of the data or lies outside the rest of that data. So let's take a look at what we did yesterday. Now, I've entered the numbers here that we used to calculate yesterday, and we've calculated our mean, our median, and our mode. Again, in real life, use a spreadsheet to do this, or use tools to do this. Doing it by hand isn't always the easiest way to do it. So we've got the mean, the median, and the mode scores here. Now you can notice that with our test scores, there is one of them here that appears to be a little bit weird compared to the rest of them. So I'm going to highlight that one. So this score here is really low compared to the rest of them. Maybe you had a bad day when you were taking that test, or maybe you forgot there was a test. Whatever the reason, you scored poorly on that particular test. So that was what we could consider an outlier. All of the rest of these are between 65 and 88. But this one is unusually low. Now, if we look, our median and our mode are quite a lot higher than our mean here. This is because an outlier affects the mean, whereas an outlier does not affect the median and the mode. So let's try changing it. Let's say that you redo this test, and instead of getting a 31, let's say that you get a 60 on that test. If you notice, our mean, our median, and our mode are a little different. Our mean has changed, but our median and our mode have not changed. We still have 81 as the most popular score, the most frequent. Our median is still 77.5, but our mean has gone up almost 75%. Now, this is because that score was an outlier. If I have an unusually high or an unusually low score, that can affect the outlier. Let's say you did even worse and got 5%. Notice it affects the mean, but it does not affect the median and the mode. So outliers affect the mean, but do not affect the median and the mode. In fact, if I make this something ridiculous, say you got negative 1,000 on that test, which I'd be impressed. Your mean is negative 100%, which is weird, but your median and your mode don't change. So sometimes your median and your mode can be a better description of a set of data. Now, the median and the mode are a little tedious to calculate sometimes. The mode might not represent the data very well. And if you have a large set of data, like let's say you're looking at salaries for the entire country of Canada, how much do people make? The mean and the median might not be the easiest ways to do that. Unfortunately, we have another useful tool called the trimmed mean. Now, our trimmed mean is similar to the mean, but we're going to get rid of a couple of pieces of data. So our trimmed mean is a way to get rid of those outliers. So in this case, we're going to drop the top and the bottom scores. Now notice, dropping the top and the bottom scores here, only drop the top and bottom scores as instructed in the question. So I'm going to write that. See the question. It might ask you to drop the top and bottom 2 scores or more. In this case, we're just going to drop the top and bottom scores. So here, I'm going to get rid of the 31, and I'm going to get rid of the 88. Now, I'm going to add up all of the rest of those scores. So I've added up the rest of these scores, and I got 301. 74 plus 81 plus 65 plus 81. Works out to 301. Now I'm going to divide that by 4. Notice that I only have 4 scores left, so I'm going to do 301 divided by 4. That works out to 75.6. 0.25%. So my trimmed mean in this case is 75.25%. And that changed from the mean. So if I look, I've got the mean, which is 70%, median, which is 77.5%, the mode of 81, and the trimmed mean of 75.25%. This trimmed mean is closer to the median and might be a better description of how you did on these tests. In fact, if you were to look at your tests over the semester and how would you brag about your tests, which of these would you use? You might say, I scored 81 most frequently. That describes how I did the semester. Or you might say, hey, my middle mark was 77.5. Maybe that looks better. In this case, because you had one score, this 31, that's an outlier, the 70 of the mean is lower. But on the other hand, if you had an outlier that was very high, say you scored a 99, then your mean might be higher and you might want to use that instead. So your mean, your median, your mode, and your trimmed mean are all ways that you can calculate and describe a set of data. Have a great day.